Darami, I say, whenever I leave the house, and on whatever thing my eyes fall on,
وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما
Allah Ta'ala says, Wallahu yuhibbu as-sabirin. Allah Ta'ala is lief with Adikina.
School governing body of South Coast Madrasa.
وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is a special program hosted by Cage Prisoners Africa. If you want to look at the global website of Cage Prisoners, it's cageprisoners.com. I'm interviewing Sheikh Abdul Salam Zaif. He was one of the founder members of the Taliban. He was also Guantanamo Bay prisoner. I'm going through his life story, and from that we're getting a bit about the history of Afghanistan. We started with his early life. We then went into the period where he was a mujahid fighting the Russians. We then crossed over to the period of civil war after the Russians left, and we're now dealing with the era where the Taliban was in power. The Taliban was formed in 1994, took control in 1996, and that government lasted from 1996 until 2001 when the US invaded Afghanistan. So I'm busy now just with the era of Taliban rule, and we just heard from Sheikh Abdul Salam that the entire Afghanistan budget was $80 million to do everything. And I was asking Sheikh Abdul Salam about the accusation that the Taliban were not furthering women's education, and he indicated that there was not even enough money to further the education of men, let alone women, because that was the entire budget. And he compared it to the current budget for education, which is over $1 billion. And here we're looking at the entire budget of Afghanistan was 80 million. So Sheikh, the position, I mean, we know that Afghanistan is traditionally, you indicated 90% of the people are Muslim. But as a matter of policy now, you indicated obviously the Taliban government would love to have implemented education systems, but the time wasn't sufficient, the money wasn't sufficient. But as a matter of policy, did the Taliban government have any problem with women being educated? Is that something that is against their values?
No, I don't think. I was one of them.
Yeah.
And now I have private schools for the men and the women, both. And I have private madrasa for the men and the women. And we have university for that. And my daughter, she is studying, going to madrasa and studying. So no problem. We are encouraging the people to learn. Because in Islam, the Rasul Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam is encouraging us. And al-ilmu farizatun ala kulli muslimin wa muslimatin. And other hadith, Rasul Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Utlub al-ilma walau kana fi as-sin." And go and learn the education if it is in the Sin. Sin was far from Saudi in that time.
China.
And yeah, in China. And that's main. Islam have no. The Taliban want an Islamic law. In Islam, they have no problem with the women education.
Mm-hmm.
But the situation to prepare for that, and really the Taliban wanted the women to study, but separate from the men.
Mm-hmm.
And the system will be separate, and their dignity will be protected. That they wanted, and there were no any kind of objection on that.
Well, what was when you had this various posts? You said you were initially in the you were dealing with the justice establishment of the court systems. I just give me an idea of some memorable things that were implemented in terms of, because again the I think many people will say Sharia is harsh in terms of punishment of criminals. So So how did you deal with that? Maybe give us some examples of how practically it was implemented.
The Sharia is not made by Taliban. This is Allah rules. And the Allah Rasul made this rule. We have a book, Quran, we have the traditional of peace be upon Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. They made a rule for us. We didn't. For example, Allah says if someone killing some other and they have give authority to the relative to kill this one. This is in Surah Asra. If you go to Surah Asra, you will find in the second page that's the was written. And ومن قتل مظلوما فقد جعلنا لوليه سلطانا فلا يسرف في القتل. This ayah, Quran says, this is not war. And giving chance to power to him to kill him. If he has forgiveness, this is better. And what the Taliban was doing, for example.
The Sharia, just to explain people, because some people don't maybe not understand. So the Sharia, in terms of, it comes from the Quran itself. And the Quran lays down the law that if somebody is murdered, the relative of the deceased has the right to take revenge on that person. Or forgive the person.
Forgive. But the government will provide the situation for that. They have a responsibility to do that. And also in other words in Quran Kareem, in Surah Al-Baqarah, كتب عليكم القصاص كتب عليكم القصاص في القتلى الحر بالحر والعبد بالعبد بالأنثى بالأنثى.
Just translate for that.
Allah says this is I was sorry that
in the law of equality,
equality, qisas, which is revenge.
The law of equality.
This is the right of Allah. They impose on you to take revenge from the person, the murderer. And if they are giving forgiveness to them, this is better. They can do that, the relative. But what the Taliban were doing it, when someone was murdered, they were bringing to the justice, and they were bringing the witness, for example. There are three kinds of witness for that. One is the person to accept that he did.
Like a confession.
The confession. And after that, they were asking why he did. If the reason was not enough for killing after, the court was deciding he is a criminal. He did something, he will be killed. And the other witnesses, for example, he did something, but he is not accepting that. We have a witness. The other people saw that he did it. And for at least these two witnesses, they need it. And the other thing is that to bring the qarina for that. For example, and after that you can investigate it.
The evidence.
The evidence, you find it. When the court decided he is criminal, he did this crime, and after that, this one court was deciding, they were sending to the other court, and the other court again investigating in that, and it is going to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court they are declaring, and that's correct. And after that, they are bringing the murder in front of the other people. They are gathering the people, and they are giving chance to the relative. This is the murder, and the judge is explaining all the thing, how he did, how he confessed that, and who is the witness, and who is the judge, how they decided, and what is in the edict for that. And after that, they are giving chance. If they wanted to kill him, they can kill him. But before that, they were saying, explaining how to forgive. This is reward for you. This is better.
So the judge's role at that time, after the first role, is to get the evidence and to satisfy the judges that this person did commit the murder. Once you find the person guilty, you then facilitate the punishment. And then, but at the point of punishment, your role is to explain what the person did. To explain the rights of the relatives, but also to encourage them to forgive the person. Did that actually happen? Can you recall an incident?
This happened.
Can you recall your incident from your own life?
One person was by the name of Muhammad Nabi. I saw him by myself in the court. He killed 11 people. He killed 11 people from one family. But he went to the home of sister-in-law. He had no problem with it. No problem. Why he did, I don't know. And in the midnight, they were providing good anything for him to host him. And he was eating there. He was living in the room. And the midnight, he was rising, killed first the wife, the sister-in-law wife, and after that the sister, after that the children, and one guest was there with him. He killed also this. 11 person, they were cutting all.
He was cutting the bodies.
After that they were putting in something and putting in somewhere. That he was arrested.
We have 1 minute for the segment to end. So
when we arrested, he come to the court. He confessed that he did that for nothing. They had no problem, but the shaitan they told him to do that. And when they confessed this, when the court decided he will be executed, and the relative from both sides. One was the guest, one was the other relative. 10 was from one family, one was the guest. And the brother and the father, and they came together. And before that, I went. I would ask him if you forgiven him. He did very wrong, but that's the court decided to be punished. But this is better to forgive him. This Allah will give the reward, and this will be benefit for you, and that getting revenge nothing for you. They said, no, we will not forgive him, and we will kill him. And after that, I went to him, that the court decided to kill you, and also the relative, they are not forgiving you. Do prayer, and you are a Muslim. He said, kill me as soon as possible. When I'm looking around me, that's the children I killed, they are here. They are telling me why you did, why you killed me, why you cut me. And I'm very tired. Kill me, please. But the relative, they shoot him, they were killed. That I saw. This was the system they were doing it.
Okay. I'm interviewing Sheikh Abdul Salam Zaif, a former member of the Taliban, one of the founders and also prisoner of Guantanamo Bay, and we're going through his life story. We're taking a break and we'll come back shortly, inshallah.
صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما. صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما. صلوا عليه.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We are returning to our program. It's a special program hosted by Cage Prisoners Africa. It is a associate of Cage UK. The website is cageprisoners.com. I am interviewing Sheikh Abdul Salam Zaif. He was a former founder member of the Taliban, also Guantanamo Bay prisoner. We're interviewing him about his life. He's written a book called My Life for the Taliban. We went through the various phases of his life from his childhood to the time that he was a mujahideen in the Russian era. After that, his role in the civil war. And after that, when the Taliban took over, Taliban, as we know it, was formed in 1994. Its object was to rid Afghanistan of the lawlessness that was taking place. And eventually it came into power in 1994, between 1994 and 1996 until 2001. We know the US invaded Afghanistan in 2001. I'm still dealing with the pre-invasion era and what the Sheikh did in that era and how the Taliban established Sharia law practically and what role he played. And I asked the Sheikh initially about his role in the justice system, and he gave us an example of how Sharia was implemented in the criminal system. Now, Sheikh, I want to just take you through certain of your other portfolios. I wish we could talk more about justice. Obviously, it's my interest, but we don't have time. In your role as banking, Minister of Banking, Minister of Transportation, What did you find? Did you find a lot of corruption, or and sort of what did you do? What was your role, and how did you try and solve problems? If I ask you,
the system of all things was distraught in that time. We were rebuilding now in that time. For example, there was no administration for defense ministry. We rebuilt that. We rebuilt bank system. If you go to the Kandahar, there was 3 banks, and Pashtani Tujarati Bank, Milli Bank, Central Bank, and Tujarati Bank. This was, and but there was just a building, and it was also destroyed. There were no paper, there were no implement, nothing was there, and no money, no accounting, nothing was there. We rebuilt that. It was all. We find something in that time. Some people, they were taking money, but they were not delivering to. But we were not able to collect these things before the Taliban, because there were not enough things, and especially the asnad was not enough for us. We rebuilt all the thing was destroyed, and this was when the people they became poor. This corruption is not possible to stop completely. But the role of Taliban was that to punish when someone doing corruption. And I think in Taliban time, the system was going well. The people, they had no problem. But they had a complaint from some sector or from some of the system. But always the Taliban, they were sitting with the people to correct the system to easy way for the people to work.
Just explain in terms of the ulama, what system did you utilize in order to pass Islamic rulings for the people? How did that work practically?
Yeah, the Islamic rule is written in the system in Islam, and we had the I told you before, we collected the system of the Zahir Shah and Aman Khan and Dawud Khan. We brought all that to implement in the system. This was the rule. And we had lawyer, and also we had the people to know the law. And they had we had the Ministry of Justice. And that was they had a minister always all the qawanin, which was the law. This was going to the ministry, and the ministry they had a commission for that, and they were deciding. And after that, they was coming like we were called a statement, a small book. It was coming. All the thing was written for anything, and this was going to justice, to the court, to the system, to anything. If they had a problem, for example, in the bank system, if they have with the tax, if they have with the security and anything, they will come in to look to the law, what the law says. And the law was when the law, we were calling the taqneen, the people which they know the law and they are expert in the law. They were making the law, and they were sending to the Shura Islamic ulama. And the Islamic ulama, they were conferring with the Islamic law. If there is no problem with, no contradiction with Islam, and they would go through. Yeah, this was.
Okay, now we know. Let's go to the next phase now of Afghanistan's history. We know September 11th took place. Now I want to ask you about this very important era and also some pertinent questions that people may have. And I'll ask you a direct question. Was the Taliban responsible for September the 11th? Did it have any role in the attacks of September 11th, and what is your view about your version?
By my opinion, not the Taliban. I don't think anyone from the Muslims, they are responsible for that. The Taliban, they had, Afghanistan had no telephone in that time. And they have no television. The system, they don't have it. and they have no connection with the world. And the September 11 happened in the United States. It was a very sophisticated plan. The Taliban, they were not expert like that. You will not find any kind of thing in the world that the Afghan, not the Taliban, only Afghan did outside of Afghanistan. Because they had no ability for that. How they were possible to make this kind of sophisticated program in the United States? No. By my opinion, this was conspiracy. This was conspiracy. They wanted to enter to Arab countries and to Afghanistan and to go there. I don't know who did it, how it's happening. And I'm not agree with this. And also, when the September 11 happened, before that, 1 month before, I had a meeting with the U.S. ambassador.
You were now Pakistan ambassador.
Yeah, I was Pakistan ambassador. Yeah. The U.S. ambassador called me, and I have a meeting with you. I want to meet you. I told him I'm not in the embassy. This was out of time. I came to home, but tomorrow we should meet. He said, no, this was very urgent. I will come to you where you are. I told him, come to my home. He came to my home with the political officer. I remember the name of her, Paula Tidi, William. Both of them, they come to my home. They said, I was preparing the tea or something, like this is our habit. They said, no, we have a very urgent message. But they were like scared. Yeah. What is the message? They said, this is the message, we got the information and the United States will be attacked from Afghanistan.
This was before September 11th?
1 month before.
1 month before.
Yeah.
Wow.
I told you I would send a message. But I didn't do the official way. This was delaying to go to the foreign embassy, foreign ministry.
The official way you had to go to the foreign ministry.
Yeah, this is take time.
Yeah.
But I sent directly to the leadership. I got the reply in 5 or 6 hours. And it was a written reply that the leadership after that called me to give this as soon as possible. We are not interested in to fight with America. We are a poor country. We are involved with our problem. We don't want more problem. If the Americans, they have a problem with anyone, this is their problem, but they will not blame us for that. We are very poor. And we never want that to attack America. And they will be sure from our side. And we're giving this to them. And after 1 month, September 11 said, how is possible? This kind of program in America, they know before 1 month about something happening. They have CIA, they have API, they have the military intelligence, and they said we are seeing the small thing, and this big thing will happen in the United without their knowledge. That's an incredible thing, I think. But anyway, we wanted a proof. If anyone from Afghanistan is involved with that, we are not defending. We condemned the September 11 officially from our embassy.
The Taliban condemned
that.
September.
And from the embassy and also from the foreign ministry, they condemned officially that issue.
Why? What was the condemnation? What did you feel?
I'm not remember the word of that, but we condemned that. This was a terrorist attack, and on that side, we're feeling the pain of the people of the United States, which we are not happy with that, like that. But when they said that was the Taliban, they were involved with that, we asked, please, bring the proof. Who is involved?
Yeah.
But until today, they have no proof. I think that was just the history or conspiracy. I think this was not involved the Taliban with that.
Sheikh, we're just going to take a break now. I'm at a very interesting point of the life of Sheikh Abdul Salam Sarif, and we're dealing with the September 11th attacks. And Sheikh Abdul Salam Sarif emphatically said the Taliban had absolutely no role to play, and in fact condemned it officially. We're going to take a break, and then I'm going to ask Sheikh about Osama bin Laden and the history relating to that and his relationship with the Taliban at the time.
وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We're returning to the interview with Sheikh Abdul Salam Zarif, a former founder member of the Taliban and also a detainee of Guantanamo Bay. Sheikh Abdul Salam, I want to get straight to it because our time is running out. So let us talk now about Osama bin Laden and his relationship to the Taliban and the demands of the Americans and how that ended.
Osama bin Laden was before Taliban. Before Taliban, he was in Afghanistan during Jihad era. He was in Kandahar, not in Kandahar, in Khost area, in Jalalabad. And he was doing Jihad in this area. And he was not, had not the relationship with Taliban in Jihad time. Maybe with some Taliban, but not with the leadership like from Kandahar. He didn't meet Kandahar any time before the Taliban was rising.
He came to Afghanistan to assist in the jihad against
jihad
Russia.
system, and that the way was supported by all. He was Mujahid at that time. And Abdullah Izam, he was the leader of that time. And after that was Osama bin Laden. When the jihad was finished, he went to Sudan. He was in Sudan. And after that, in 1992, he came back to Afghanistan. In 93, like 92, 93, before Taliban. He was invited by the government of Ustaz Rabbani. And they brought from Sudan to Afghanistan. They sent him to Jalalabad or to Khost. He was there. When the Taliban was rise in 1994, in 1995, they came to the Jalalabad and Khost, this area, and he remained there. We heard that Ustaz Rabbani, the government wanted to capture him, to send him to America, but he asked asylum from the Taliban. He wanted to stay in Afghanistan, and he had a problem to go outside. And as a Mujahid, he wanted to stay in Afghanistan. He was in Afghanistan. The Taliban gave an asylum to him. That was the relationship of the Taliban with them.
Right.
And after that, it became some kind of part of culture, or culture. When you are given asylum to someone, you cannot able to tell him to go or to surrender to someone. And when the American, they accuse him that he is involved with some activities against American. And before September 11, they had a meeting with the Taliban, and the Taliban really wanted to resolve this problem. And the Taliban had 3 proposals for that, to resolve the problem. The first proposal was that to bring him to the court of Afghanistan. If the Americans have any evidence against him, they will send him to the court. We have a system, we are government, we are a country. And we have no contract with American to deliver someone without reason to American. The Americans said that we're not recognizing Afghanistan, the government of Taliban in Afghanistan. We cannot able to do that. The second proposal was that the Taliban will prevent him from any kind of activities in Afghanistan, political activity. And they would take out the telephone from him and television. They would not do anything, just sitting. Because the Americans, they have no evidence, he will not talk anything. He will stay, he will not do any activities. That we will impose on him. They said, they rejected, no, we want him. He is a criminal. But there are no proof, just they said he is a criminal. And after that, we decided to, that was the third option, the third proposal, to make a special course from 3 Islamic countries. One will be Afghanistan, the 2 other, the American will choose it. And the judge and the lawyer, they will come together and decide it. Without this, it's hard for Afghanistan to surrender to American.
Without evidence?
Yeah, without evidence. This was 3 reasons. One, we are the country, we had no contract with them. Secondly,
no extradition treaty.
Yeah. Secondly, this was Islamic law, and this was Islamic world. And it's some kind of thing like abusing the law. When you are surrendering someone to other, that means you are not trusting in your Allah. We were trusting in Allah, in Islam, in Sharia, in the principle of Islam. And the third problem which we had is that mean when we surrender to American, that means the American justice is proper. And we have a problem with the justice. And this was a problem we cannot able to deliver him to American. And also we were working, and this was also rejected by American. And the fourth option we had, but it was not concluded. That was to bring the lawyer and the attorney of non-Muslim and other Muslim, including American, and to make a special court for this case. And we didn't go to that. The September 11 coming, and they invaded to Afghanistan. That Osama's role was in Afghanistan, and they connected with the Taliban.
So basically, you said, if I summarize, that you have given a person asylum, you have a contract with that person.
Yeah.
You can't just hand over a person to another country without any evidence.
We want evidence.
Yes. If you had evidence, you had no problem. If there was evidence that he did something.
No, we were sending to the court.
A court.
No problem. But with the delivering to American, I think this is not a plausible way. This is just force. It's not justice.
Yes. And the other thing you say you're concerned about is that the impression that you would give to the world is that Islam had no justice system.
No justice.
And that the American justice system was superior. Now, we know about the American justice system.
Yeah, we saw that.
In your subsequent experience, you were the Taliban minister of Pakistan. Ambassador. I recall very clearly your press interviews at the time. You were in Al Jazeera, you were official spokesperson, and you were giving reports to the media. And then we also know then you were then taken with your diplomatic immunity to Guantanamo Bay. Now tell us briefly about how you got to Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah.
And how long did you spend there?
I was official ambassador to Pakistan since 2000 to 2002. And as a ambassador, you know that Pakistan and Afghanistan, when the Americans they invaded to Afghanistan, situation became very hard for the journalists to go there. It was fighting. And mostly journalists, they wanted information of Afghanistan. They were coming to Islamabad. There's thousands they were coming. And they were interested to get an interview with me to learn something from Afghanistan, what is going on. But we did that in one time. We were not interview with anyone else, but we were collecting information from Afghanistan that time before 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And 4 o'clock we were, all the journalists, they were coming, we were giving press conference information of Afghanistan, what is going on with casualty and anything like that. And just for 1 hour or sometimes for half hour, sometimes for 40 minutes, that's what we were giving the conference. And I was there in 2000, January 2. In the January 2, the Pakistan authorities, they came to my home. They said, Your Excellency, Your More Excellency, and we want...
They said, you know more Excellency.
No more Excellency. Yes. We want you to take you to the Peshawar, and the American, they want to interrogate with you. I told them, this is not the law. This is not your right. I'm officially here. I didn't come smuggle or illegal. I have diplomatic immunity, passport and visa, everything I have it. They said there is no law, no principle. We cannot able to say to American no. I told them, give me a chance. 24 hours, I will leave your country. And if the American capture me, that's their responsibility. But I will go. They said no. They took me from my home to Peshawar. 2 days I was with them. After 2 days, they surrendered me to American in Peshawar airport with the ceremony. The Pakistani general was there, and they had some kind of thing. They delivered me to America. And the American, they took me from there to the worship.
The worship,
yeah.
Wow.
From there, I was there. I didn't know how long I was there. From there to Bagram.
You in the worship, were you Detained.
Detained, yeah. From there to Bagram, from Bagram to Kandahar, from Kandahar to Guantanamo.
How long did you spend in Bagram?
In Bagram, I was there for 1 month. In Kandahar was 2.5 months, like this.
Detention.
In detention, investigation, all. And after that, from there to Guantanamo. In Guantanamo, I was 3 years and 6 months there.
3 years.
Yeah.
Tell us. Well, what was the purpose of Guantanamo Bay?
I think they built, by my opinion, they built for 3 purposes. And the first purpose that they were showing to the people which they are not accepting American, that the American, they have very hard and cruel rule. And they will put you in the Guantanamo Bay, which is not justice, no regulation, no human right. And forever you will be there. They were telling us like that. And second purpose was to scare the Islamic countries. They wanted support of them. They want money from them. They want oil from them. They want something. If you are not supporting me, we will release. This is very dangerous people. They will swallow you. Mm-hmm. And there was nothing there. Just they make a big thing from terrorists. And still they didn't find anyone among the people. They were ordinary people there. And the third purpose they wanted the information, unlegal information, by any way, to torturing and not sleeping and not giving food, not giving shelter, any kind of punishment they were given till you have to tell them all the things, which is unlegal, unlegal, and which is the education information and your self-life information and what is secret information, like between you and wife and your children. They want anything from you. And that was the only way to take this from this kind of prison. No law, no regulation, no principle, and they will do anything with you to take the information. I think this was 3 reasons.
I'm interviewing Sheikh Abdul Salam Zarif. We're going for a short break, and then we're coming to the final segment where Sheikh spent time in Guantanamo Bay. We're taking a short break, inshallah.
صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما. صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما. صلوا عليه.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is a special program by Cage Prisoners Africa. I'm interviewing Sheikh Abdul Salam Zarif, and we're now at the final segment of the interview about Sheikh's life in Guantanamo Bay. Sheikh, you indicated to us before the break the purpose of Guantanamo Bay. I want you to describe to us shortly some of the torture techniques that were used and how the prisoners were treated.
Yeah, and I saw one brother. That's what different kind. They had physical torture and also psychological torture. For example, the physical torture. Some brother they were putting in the ship, and they were covered, and the ship was going in the ocean very fast, for example, and 3-4 days they were walking like that. They were not able to sleep in. If was sleep, was scared.
Sleep deprivation.
Yeah, that was some kind of. And also, they had isolation, like they were putting alone the person. They were not giving the shelter, just they were staying there. Sometimes this was, and sometimes they were not giving food, and without food, and this was also the punishment. And sometimes they were shaving, and sometimes the other kind of punishment they were giving physical punishment. And the mostly punishment which we saw from it was the Holy Quran. Holy Quran they given to us. One day we were delivering. We 1 month we had hunter strike. We didn't want the Holy Quran because the Holy Quran they make a cause for the punishment of us. And And when they wanted to punishment or to do something with them, they were abusing the Holy Quran. And they were understood they are Muslim, they have emotion with the Quran, they will do something problem behalf of Quran. When we were doing something, this was the way to punish me.
They were abusing the Quran.
Yeah, they were abusing the Quran. But when we understood this is the big problem to us, we said we don't want Quran because we are not able to protect them. The punishment for this also. 1 month we had a strike for that. And the 80% of problem we had from the Quran. And they were not taking the Quran, they were giving. When they were abusing, we were doing problem and they were punishing that. This was. And also some kind of, this was the common thing they were doing. With some people, when they wanted information from them, they had a very hard punishment for them. For example, this was the Cuba black. This was one black. They were putting some detainees there. They were closing the water. This was toilet. And if you go to the toilet, they were not giving the toilet paper also. One. And no water there. And they were making you all the clothes. Just one shirt they were remaining. And there is nothing else. When you want to eat, you have to eat by this hand. And this hand you have to use for toilet. There is no water, no paper to clean it. This was very hard. It's very harsh. And eventually the brother, they were there, they didn't eat because they need toilet. And most people, 1 month, they didn't eat it. And they didn't drink even. That they were unconscious after they were taken to the hospital. They were forcing to give something like this.
Did Guantanamo Bay, I wish we had more time, Sheikh, did Guantanamo Bay break your spirit at all?
One time I was thinking there would be justice in the Western country. When I saw the Guantanamo, and when the law, the principle, the human right, regulation, this is not for us, just for them. And just to condemn the Muslim. When the Muslim, the poor people, they do something, they will do that. Why you did it? For example, I will tell you. In Afghanistan, we arrested 6 people in the Islamic Emirate. This were 2 American, 4 other. They break the law of Afghanistan. We put in detention. We sent them to the court. 1 month. The diplomats, they were coming, meeting them. The behavior of Taliban was very correct with them. They have liars, they have nothing. But the UN conclusion, they imposed the sanction of Afghanistan. One part was that's why they kept the detainees for 1 month without justice. But the justice was continuing. They were going to court in the coming. And they put the innocent people in 12 years. Till today they are there. Nobody says. There's no justice, no sanction, no anything. But this was for us. Really, I am disappointed from the justice. I don't want this. All this, when they are said human rights, I said this lie. They said the women's rights, I said this lie. They said justice, I said this lie. Completely, I am changed. Yeah.
You became a hafiz. You memorized the Holy Quran.
Guantanamo Bay, they protect us. Alhamdulillah, they direct us and they guide us to the right way. And also, I memorized the Holy Quran, alhamdulillah, in 8 months.
In Guantanamo?
In Guantanamo Bay. And also the other people, the 100 people, they memorize the Holy Quran or they learn the Quran also. And it was like a madrasa for us. And also spiritually we were made.
Strong.
Yeah, made.
Were there any non-Muslims in Guantanamo Bay, prisoners?
I didn't see, but I see the American.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of American soldiers. They were...
No, but the prisoners, were there any non-Muslim prisoners?
I didn't see any.
You didn't see?
Yeah.
And what do you remember the youngest and oldest prisoner?
Yeah, this was one Afghan. The youngest one was 12 years old.
12 years old?
Yeah, from Zarmat and from the Paktika.
Yes.
From Zarmat district. And his name was Naqibullah. And the oldest one was 105 years old.
105 years old. Taken to detention.
He wasn't know anything.
Allah.
He was in detention. He was promoter's gun. But 6 months after he was released.
Now, I wish we could speak more, but time is running out. You were eventually released my producer is indicating we can carry on a little bit, so let us talk a bit more about Guantanamo, because it's such an important topic, and I don't want to miss it. Tell us something about your personal experience. Now, you when you got there in Guantanamo, were you kept in isolation? Were you allowed to communicate with prisoners? What was the conditions?
In 5 months I was in isolation. 5 months. And after 5 months I came to the other jail, which was we were able to talk. And 4 months I was in the Camp 4. Camp 4 was 10 people, they were stay together. But I saw there was not one prison. There were Camp 1, Camp 2, Camp 3, Camp 4, Camp 5, Camp 6. Mm-hmm. There was different behavior in these people. And also we had one other, I not remember the name of, this was very difficult. I was 5 days there. Mm-hmm. It was like this room. Mm-hmm. And it was other room inside that room. This was other room. Mm-hmm. They were there. Just watching by camera, you are not hearing anything. And if you wanted something, if you were asking, you would show the hint to the camera. And after 1 hour, the soldier was coming, he was worried, like, what do you want? We were asking, we need that. But they were not talking more. I was just 5 days there. This was other prison. We were hearing there were different prison also. Mm-hmm. Different, yeah.
You went on hunger strikes often.
Yeah.
Well, your first hunger strike, what caused it and what were your demands?
The first one was because when we went to Guantanamo, the rule was very hard. And they said it was a cage. In the cage, you were not able to stand up. You would sit down during the day. You were not looking this side and this side. Just stand up. When you are praying, you are not stand up. And you do not do azan. You are not able to speak with anyone. When you are sleeping, you have to sleep like this, not covering the face, not covering the body, but just sleeping like this, not one side, not other side. And that's for some time we became worried. This is not the life. We are in the cage in so many feet. Mm. And after that we starting shouting, calling, and also the hunger strike. Till I think it was 21 days like this. After that, the situation became very terrible. And the general came, he was good, I think. He was not a bad person. He came and said, this is not my role, I didn't. This from Washington, it's coming. Don't blame me. I know the situation. I didn't know who is criminal and who is not. We didn't know you. But what do you want? Why you did that? We said we want freedom in the cage. We didn't want anything else.
Freedom in the cage.
We want freedom in the cage. Mm. And we cannot able to escape. This is the fence. This is locked. This is what we were after, I think, behind of 11 doors there. Why you are putting this kind of situation? And after that, they give us freedom inside the cage. We can pray, we can do azan, we can tilawah, we can stand up. Yes, in one block, but we will still not able to talk with other block beside of us. This was forbidden.
What is your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala
Alhamdulillah.
In that lonely circumstance? Could you maybe tell us
Subhanallah, the time which I tasted in that time, it was very important. I still remember. And the connection was only with Allah, because we had no hope that the relative will help us. We did not hope that the Islamic government were disappointed from them. We were not hope the law will support us. Only Allah will rescue us and support us. And we are here for Allah because we didn't do anything. We didn't kill anyone. We didn't steal anything. We didn't do any crime. Just for Islam, we are here. And this has fisabilillah. We will be.
In the past.
We were convinced. Hardly we were convinced. If we were killed, we were convinced. If we were burned, we were convinced.
You didn't mind?
Yeah, no, it's not mind.
No problem.
No problem. And that was the reason they influenced the American soldier. They became Muslim. Not all. Because they were looking. One soldier came to me, they asked me, if I'm in this cage for 10 days, I will be died. Why you are happy? They said, what's happened to me? The food is free. The ibadah is free. The water is free. The clothes is free and free. I'm here. And I didn't do any crime. If I think this is my punishment from this crime, I will be regret. I did something wrong, I will be regret. I didn't do anything. Just I'm Muslim. I defend from Islam. That is my punishment. That's for Allah. And this is easy because we will go for a long trip to the Qabristan, to the Qabr, and go to Akhirah. And Alhamdulillah, this is good. We were happy anyway.
Sheikh, we've nearly come to an end. Just some conclusion. You were eventually released from Guantanamo Bay, and today you reside in Qatar. What are the conditions of your release? Just briefly.
This was 3 conditions they put me, and I signed. This was 6 conditions, but I rejected 3 and accepted 3. And 3 conditions. That the first was to go to Kabul and to be house arrest for 2 years. And the second one, that I will not do any political activities against the government, against the American. Secondly, I will not joining with the Taliban. And that's I signed the contract with them. I was released. And 2 years I was house arrest in Kabul. And I wanted to stay there, but unfortunately the American 2 times they came to my home. They wanted to enter to my home. And I understood they didn't want me here, and one day they will do something wrong. But this was not the issue to kill me, but the children, the women, that's the dignity is very important. And after that I came, I went to UAE for asylum, but it was delayed. I went to Saudi, I went to Qatar. They accepted me, Alhamdulillah. Now I am.
And today you're residing in Qatar. Sheikh, I want to thank you very much. I'm sure many people would benefit by your inspiring life. And I'm sure we'll ask you to keep us all in your prayers and to pray for us. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you strength and carry on inspiring people and inspiring the ideals of justice and being an ambassador for Islam as you are. I say Jazakallah khair.
Thank you for your invitation and for preparing me a situation to come here and to speak with our brother.
Jazakallah khair. This was a special program by Cage Prisoners Africa. We had the very inspiring life of Sheikh Abdul Salam Zalif. He has published a book called My Life with the Taliban. And we're hoping to get some copies going here in South Africa so that you can read this rich life and this rich experience of this great man. Thank you very much for listening to the program. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما. 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 صلوا عليه.